Hello everyone, Switch W here. This is another channel update. First, I am going to mention that I am a little bit more tired today since I took my first COVID-19 vaccine yesterday. And and I do have some small pain in my right arm where I took it. So, but no serious nothing. The pain will fade away within a day or so. Anyways, another thing I want to talk about is something that came to my notice from my girlfriend yesterday. Is the fact that she noticed one of my non-MLP stories, love stories, were in fact deleted, and I have no idea what happened. Since in the past, I has always got a notification either on YouTube or my email that tells me which story had been flagged as a copyright. And I can just say, for an example, for about a week ago, I had another with Octavia Frederick dating video that I made a couple of years ago that, in fact, also suddenly had a flag on it. So the example from that, this time doesn't even appear any sort of copyright. So I take a look myself, and in fact, when I looked at it, it wasn't just one. It was in fact two stories have been removed. But before you ask me which stories they were, I have to say I have no idea. Since there were about 100 non-MLP stories that I've made for past year or so, and since I have no idea. But if I were to give my best guess, is in fact, well, I think it was most likely two of Travis Bell's stories that he had asked me to do. But before he asked me to, if he would ask me if I can just remake them. Well, the thing is, before I have no idea first of all, I have no idea for which stories they were, since I have made so many non-reported stories for the past few weeks, and I have basically no uh, recollections or a memory of which ones were. And even if I did figure out which stories they were, and normally I could just in part use the recordings for the story again, but the fact is I don't even have those recordings anymore. Because every time when I make an audio story, after the video itself has been saved as a video, and then I always delete the original recordings for that particular story. I don't save them anymore. Because in my mind, when the story is up, when it's recorded, and it's just has been saved as a video, there's no need for those recordings anymore. So even if I did find out which the stories were, or at least were between two different characters, I think I might not even have to remake them at all. In fact, even though despite all that happened, another thing is, Travis asked me to do two love stories more, two crossovers, that's in fact, but one of them was in fact Arbiter from Halo, and another with Abby Sinian from Smart Cats. And the funny thing is, I had actually recorded that story yesterday, 35 minutes long, and just at the moment where this voice recording program that I use for my audio stories, or like this updates like that, it somehow the computer froze. Quite literally, the entire screen froze. I couldn't even do anything about it. I do believe that was because I was talking to one of my friends on Xbox app on my computer, and somehow it caused the entire computer being frozen. So, long story short, I had to restart my entire computer once again. But since that story, the recording was interrupted before being saved and completely, I couldn't even use it. So I had to delete that audio. But I do remember, in fact, what the story was about and what I may talk about it. And he said that this was going to be the last crossover story that he asked me. But then, only a couple of days later, he asked me to do another one based from Harpy Dancer from Yu-Gi-Oh! And John Hunter 17 from Halo. When he asked me about this, since I was have even watched entirely of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, but I did see some of the original and some of the Yu-Gi-Oh! X when Jaden Yugi was part of. Nevertheless, though, I have no idea which this Harpy was as a character, so I had to look it up. But it turned out it wasn't even a particular character that was part of the show itself. This Harpy was in fact part of the card game. It was in fact a figure belonging part of the cards. And I was like, how is that possible for him to interact with Harpy if she's part of the game? And he explains that that John will somehow end up in the beast dimension where all of these card figures were alive, in fact alive. But after figuring out about this, I had decided that that particular story, Harpy Dancer with John Hunter 17, won't be made at all. I'm sorry for that, Travis, but I decided not to be able to do that. And I decided to do that, but in one of the stories that you asked me to do, um, Arbiter with Abby Cat, Abby, that will be made. But since I can't pronounce his official name from the game itself, I will call himself Arbiter. But this will be, in fact, the very last crossover stories based on from games. Since this takes me away from all the other stories I have been trying to be focused on, like from some of what were from one of your previous stories you had asked me to do, like Side Twilight with Fluttershy. And since you had asked me to do that story last year, and I had to put on the side for over and over, but now I want to be doing that story. And despite that, I'm sorry if your John Harpy Dancer character story won't be made because I just don't know much about this game, and first I would have to make some real good explanation how he ended up in this dimension. First, he has somehow must have ended up in that particular universe where the characters lives, and then somehow end up in this beast dimension to be with Harpy. Since I can't even give as much explanation to that, so that story won't be happening. I'm sorry. But if you still have any MLP stories that to be as an audio, that's not a problem. That can I do always. But the fact is, I had wanted to focus on some of my new stories. In fact, I have been trying to focus on some kind of couple of stories I've been worked on for at least a couple of weeks now by that point. Some of them sorts have been stopped middle doing it, since I want to hop into the next story to be make that first. And since I have only about as two new stories have been up, and many people are requesting me to do stories, so don't take this as personal, Travis. Don't. I really want to make your stories, but since the most of them are based from games like World of Warcraft or Fire Emblem or something like that, since I never played any of those games or I don't want to make you upset or anything, but I prefer to be only making the stories I have been trying. And since you said that the last one you asked me, Arbiter with Abby, was going to be the last one, and then suddenly you asked me for another one, I was just surprised because you promised that that's going to be the last one, but then you asked for another one. And don't take me this a bad way, Travis, but I wanted to make your story, and I will try to beg to do your Arbiter with Abby today and upload it either to today or tomorrow. It depending, for of course, how much time I will do to work on it. I just want to be able to do that story for you and then go back to my original love stories. And if people ask me, first of all, I think, what about your other love story list, like MLP love stories? Have that been affected by any suddenly removed stories? And sadly, no. I checked that, no have been affected by that so far yet. Because I checked that right after I saw that if season 2 or another 2 of the non-MLP stories has been gone. So I went to check my MLP love stories to see, just in case, if any stories has been removed. But it wasn't any, luckily for that. And I also did came attention, around 85% of my viewers are in fact not even subscribed to me. That surprised me, really. But I don't make anyone to have to be subscribed to me to be watching my stories. No. In fact, all of you can still watch my stories. You don't have to be subscribed to be that. And the main focus on my videos, in fact, is MLP love stories of majority of the stories have been watched. Well, that didn't surprise me at all. I mean, it didn't surprise me. Anyways, after this story, Arbiter with Abby will be the last crossover game story that will be focused on. But it might be other crossover stories in the future, but some that might be like Sonic with MLP characters, like say Sonic with Pinkie Pie, Manic the Hedgehog with Pinkie Pie, for some examples. Those type of crossovers can work. I mean, I have been worked on some of those stories in the past, so I want to decide to do some more. Anyways, for next couple of days, I will be focused first on Travis Best stories with Arbiter, and after that, I will try to focus on some other stories that I put on hold for at least a couple of weeks and a couple of months. But I can't even say for certain when those certain stories like Fluttershy with Celestia, Rainbow with Cadence will be made, since I just, well, I have no idea. But I did actually did one story that was requested a while back, Twilight Sparkle with Sonic. One person, I don't remember exactly the username, but this particular person asked me this story to be at least 28 minutes long, and with text and music, but in fact, it ended up even 33 minutes long. And since that was actually something new, and if you did notice that the songs in that particular video is something new, and this in fact is new music, but this music was in fact used from YouTube's own free sound library. I actually went through a list of different songs I can be using as a background, and I found at least a couple, and then I had to narrow down for at least a few more down the list number, and I have at least 45 songs that I think can work. But for now, I will try to focus on Travis' last store that he has made recently, and some of the new MLP stores I have been really want to be able to do. So, anyways, thanks everyone for been listening so far, and staying safe during this pandemic. I do mean it has been hard times for all of us, especially those who has been in a lockdown around the world. Believe me, and I do say Sweden, as so far, has not even had any lockdown. But I can just say the government here had been threatening to being put a lockdown in certain areas around in the country to this spring. But it's not official yet. But if it happens, then it may happen. But anyways, I do hope that everyone stays safe and wow, this long story, this long update. But this was something I needed to inform everyone about. And if there were any more stores that just somehow disappear, it might be in fact maybe I deleted stories and being either being the copyright or they disappeared by themselves by either by YouTube or it's some sort of glitch in their system. But who knows? Anyways, everyone, that was all I wanted to talk about this particular video, though. And I hope everyone is staying safe. And once again, Travis, I'm sorry if about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Harpy John story won't be made. I'm sorry about that. But the last one where you asked me about the Arbiter with Abby will be made. That as for certain. But I will only use his nickname Arbiter rather from his official name, since I don't even know how to pronounce his official name from the game itself. Anyways, I'm sorry about that, Travis, though, but you have to understand. I hope you do. And if you still have any other MLP stories that can be made based from, but that I can absolutely do. And but yeah, once again, staying safe and have a good day. Have a good day, everyone. And this is Stitch Diablo over and out.